Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Saturday, March 5th. So the moon is going to continue to be in Aries all day, firing us all up in the right ways, but also putting us on that very thin line between aggression and anger, frustration and pure rage. We do have to watch our tempers. We do have to watch our anxiety, our impulses, our restlessness with the moon in Aries. We had a pretty successful better part of the day yesterday. We did kind of fall apart later in the evening. And with the moon in Aries all day today, we are still headstrong. We are very kind of focused on what it is that we need to do, taking action, moving forward, healing certain aspects in our lives. The moon will be in Aries all day, going void, of course, around 11:03 p.m. and will be locking into Tauran energy early Sunday morning. There are only 6 different aspects taking place here today. 5 of them involve the moon. Now, based off of this week that we just had, this is going to be a little bit of a break, a little bit of a renewal, a little bit of an introspection on all that has transpired, and especially compared to the last couple of days that have had very, very serious aspects taking place, this is kind of a chill day. So, the moon, right out of the gate, is going to bump into Saturn, but this time it's in a very positive way. Yes, we're thinking long term. Yes, we're semi-serious. Yes, we've had some negative narratives really create insecurities and doubts in our long-term plans, but the moon bumping into Saturn in this way is definitely making us bold and brave to see the path. Yes, it might be a little bit frightening. Yes, it's going to require us to be our best selves, but now we are rising to the challenge. It's definitely helping us kind of fire up the right kind of energies, the boldness, the bravery, the courage that we're going to need to rearrange some of the systems and foundations and structures in our lives in order to create a strong foundation for us to build these new dreams, this new vision, this new inspiration upon as we move forward into the future. Now, the only aspect that is not involving the moon is the sun bumping into Jupiter. This is the annual meetup between the sun and Jupiter, happens once a year. And any time that a planet bumps into the sun, it's like it's reborn. This is a rebirthing. This is a renewal of the energy. And of course, Jupiter brings an energy of positivity, of optimism, of growth, of expansion. This is going to really infuse us with the positive energy that we need, not only standing firmly in our current position, but especially where it is that we're thinking about the big picture, our futuristic dreams. This is like a reset of our life force. Many of us have been exhausted, especially with that new moon in Pisces that we just had, sucked the life right out of us, hella confused us, exhausted us to a point where we're so numb. We're feeling everything so deeply that we just don't want to feel anything anymore. And at this particular point, this aspect is going to wake us up, is going to kind of reassure for us that guess what? Everything's going to be okay. We're feeling a little bit bigger. We're feeling a little bit brighter. We're pulling the silver linings out of things. This is exactly what we need at this particular juncture in the calendar as we are wrapping things up and preparing for a brand new energy that will be pushing us very quick, very heavily into some very dramatic changes when, of course, Aries season begins. Now, the moon is going to bump into Neptune in not the most pleasant way. This is definitely going to create a little bit of fogginess because, of course, we just want to take action, but there are no actions for us to take right now. The Neptune energy wants us to align with our higher selves, align with our intuition, really kind of move into that dreamy realm where we can visualize the path forward. And this just kind of frustrates the moon in Aries a little bit because we would rather act now and think about the consequences later. We're really not being supported in the cosmos right now to do that. What we're being asked to do is to move inward, to rest our physical bodies, to exercise our thoughts, our emotions, getting them on the same page, working very diligently to get very, very detailed with the vision in which we want to create for ourselves. But of course, the moon in Aries would rather not do that. We just want to exert our physical energy. Would be a good recommendation to throw yourself into a project around the home, physical exercise, just to get that restlessness out so that we're not, getting frustrated and going to just explode at the end of the day. We do want to move our physical bodies, although, do it nicely because we're in Pisces season where our bodies actually need rest. The only reason why I say throw yourself into a project is because if we don't and we just sit around and we let this, impulsivity and restlessness and anxiety build up, we are going to explode in all the wrong ways. So you want to find a happy medium in exerting your physical energy while still doing the inner work needed to create that vision, to create that dream. We're going to get a huge help though, because the moon in Aries is going to go ahead and sextile Mercury. Mercury is our mental plane. Mercury is in Aquarius. We're thinking big. We're thinking futuristically. We're thinking about the areas in which we need to progressively push ourselves to be better, to improve. Now, this is a great energy between the two because the moon in Aries only wants to think about moving forward, does not want to be so attached to the past situations, past scenarios that we're stunted in our emotional growth and our mental growth by doing so. The moon, of course, our heart space. Mercury, of course, our head space. This is an agreement between the two of them. We're getting on the same page. We're building our inner narrative. We're building our visual, our dream, and it's working very, very well for us because now we are inspired. This fire energy from the moon in Aries gives us passion. It gives us aggression to figure out what it is that we want. And of course, Mercury, being an Aquarian energy, is just opening up our minds to doing things in a different way, opening up our minds to the possibilities of the future. The moon is going to bump into the true node in not the most pleasant way. This is just adding pure confusion on the strategy, on the steps that we actually need to take to get from where it is that we're at to where it is that we want to be. And of course, where it is that we want to be is this dream, this vision that we are working on adding the details to and infusing with an emotion of excitement and gratitude, because of course, that's how we manifest. This little confusion part is not going to hold us up that much because it's really not a time for planning. It's a time for visualizing. It's a time for creating. It's a time for new inspirations and new motivations to really inspire us to make a change. But the planning is going to come a little bit later. So don't get so hard on yourself if you can't figure out the path, if you can't figure out the steps that you need to take in order to actually bring your vision to life. We end off the day with the moon squaring Pluto. Now the square, it's a tension point. It's an inner conflict. This doesn't feel good, but the moon in Aries is emotionally charged. Plutonian energy wants us to take our power back, wants us to take control over the elements in which we have control over. Because the moon is involved, we're being asked to take control over our emotions. But the Plutonian energy is also very dark, also very fixated on pain and trauma and suffering. Of course, the whole purpose is to inspire us and motivate us using our pain as a catalyst to make those changes and transformations. But again, the moon in Aries wants to take action, and we're not in a time of taking action. We're in a time of kind of getting our heart space stabilized and our head space stabilized so that when we are being supported in taking action, we're wasting no time and energy on what it is that we need to do. So the moon in Aries bumping into Pluto in this way could fester up some frustrations because things aren't moving as fast as we would like. Could really aggravate us, could really trigger our anxiety, our impulsivity, and our restlessness. So we have to make sure that we don't kind of tip the boat, so to speak, on the negative aspects that both the moon in Aries can have and the Plutonian energy can have. We don't want to act out. We don't want to throw a tantrum. We don't want to sit in the darkness. We don't want to move into victimhood. We want to visit those energies and recognize where they've been divinely scripted in our lives to motivate us and push us into our own personal power.